Welcome back to Elevation 44. I'm B. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back, family. So today we are wrapping up a series that I started in October, right? So I started this with the new moon, the Libra new moon. And I was like, okay, I want to give the people something, you guys, right? Something that is timeless information, something that is a base or a foundation that you can build upon information-wise, that teaches you how to work with the moon cycle, because the moon cycle can help you with your intentions, with your goals, with how you just even your flow of life and how you work and when to rest and all of that good stuff. So I wanted you to have the information on, you know, that base level information or understanding on that. So I kicked off this series in October, and we already worked through the first 5 phases of the moon. And so we started with the new moon. We also went into the waxing phases, and then we did the full moon. Okay, so those were the first 5 phases. The waxing phase has 3 phases in one video, so I know you're like, oh, she only named 3, but you said 5. That's why. So now we're gonna wrap up with the waning moon phases. Okay, and these are the last 3 phases of the moon cycle. So if you have not seen those videos, I would encourage you to go back. I'm going to link them down in the description box so that you can check them out. They're all equally important. So for you to have a good understanding of this final phase, you really need to understand those other phases as well, okay? We have the final 3 phases, like I said. We have the waning gibbous, we have the last or third quarter, and we have the waning crescent, okay? And this entire cycle is about embracing the darkness, because we all talk about, in the community, you hear a lot, love and light, love and light, love and light. And love and light is great and all, and I'm not, you know, discounting that, but this whole thing that we're in is all about dualities. It's all about, you know, seeing both sides and embracing both sides. Dark does not mean evil, light does not mean good and pure, and you know, there is goodness and purity that can be found in the dark, and there is, you know, whatever your concept of evil or whatever that can be found in the light, okay? So this is all about embracing the darkness, embracing the shadow, and understanding that without dark, we can't have light, and without light, we can't have dark. We can't know one without the other. So it's always definitely beneficial to make sure that you're balanced in knowing, you know, the dualistic nature of everything, of all energies, okay? So this is all about embracing the darkness, and this is our dark cycle. It's really focused on, I want to call it the 3 R's, which is reflect, release, and recovery, okay? So let's get into this video without, you know, talking too much, all right? So like I said, the moon here, in this time, it's getting ready for darkness. So this is when the moon is losing light. So this is helping us prepare for a reset, okay? So for the next new cycle, we now have to lose that high energy of coming off the full moon where the light was at its peak, and now we need to like allow that energy to recede so that we can reset for the new cycle, okay? So this is when the energy is the lowest, and it's also the time that we should be the least active, okay? This is like when I say our recovery, this is our resting phase, okay? The waning phases, like I said, are all about the 3 R's, reflection, release, and recovery. We left the peak of the moon's energy where we experienced that cultivation, where we harvested our crops, hopefully, right? Or saw like the potential of the harvest that is to come. So we celebrated in that, we relished in that high energy, we boosted our work even more. And now we are coming down off of that high, right? We're coming down off of that, okay? So this is when we are reflecting on our journey and our lessons learned thus far, whether it been a long journey of something that you had, you know, been working on over previous or several moon cycles, or even if it was just your first moon cycle of planting that intention and working towards that. So, you know, this is basically the time to like reflect on that journey and the lessons learned, and then also express our gratitude, right? So the full moon is a great time for us to celebrate and to show gratitude, but this is also a time where we can continue showing that gratitude, okay? And again, we need to then recoup our energy and get ready for the next cycle, for that next active phase that will come in the new cycle, okay? So the first phase of the waning cycle is the waning gibbous, okay? And the waning gibbous, this phase starts right after the full moon. Like I said, after the full moon has hit its peak and the energy is its fullest and it's most amplified, and we've, you know, felt and relished in all of that. So this period is starting right after that, when the moon starts to lose its light, and it lasts about a week, okay? So the focus of this particular phase is to show gratitude, like I was just saying before earlier, for what you have been able to accomplish thus far, and to reflect on what worked and didn't work along the way, okay? This is a great time for your gratitude rituals. So basically connecting with your ancestors, giving offerings, burning ancestor money, you know, just connecting with them in that way, or to your spirit tribe. Also, you know, showing gratitude to the earth. And so that could be spending time in nature. It can also be creating your own grids or shrines outdoors, planting, or, you know, giving more life, or making an opportunity to create more life to multiply onto the earth, or connecting with animals out in nature, you know, whether you be feeding them or just sitting amongst them and giving good energy and sharing that. That's the time of gratitude that you can, or the types of gratitude that you can express to both like your spirit tribe, your ancestors, and the earth, okay? So this phase is one of my favorite times, the waning phases in general, just because it's the best time to burn things, and I like to play with fire. I hope I'm not the only one. I like burning things. I just love fire. I like the way it crackles. I like the way it lights up. I was one of those kids. I mean, not dangerous, but I definitely would love to, like, you know, flick the lighter on back and forth and watch the flame pop up and stuff like that. So this is a great time for your burning rituals. This is a great time to just burn things, to release things, okay? So you're releasing them from your possession in the material form or the physical form, and then watching them return either back to the earth or just disappear into the ethers, okay? So you're just sending it back to the earth or to the spiritual realm, all right? So let's talk about the next phase. So speaking of release, the next phase, I kind of set that up when I was talking about the burning things. The next phase is the 7th phase of the moon cycle, which is the 3rd quarter, okay? And 3rd quarter is in it's like the midpoint of the waning cycle. So the light, again, is half and half, so it's half light and half darkness, but this time, instead of like the 1st quarter where it's half and half, where it's gaining light, this is half and half where it's losing light, okay? So this is, again, a very, very short phase. It only lasts one day, all right? So this phase in particular is all about releasing and healing through forgiveness, okay? Not only forgiveness for self, but forgiveness for others, all right? So this is allowing for the space to release what no longer serves us, which is a very important part of the cycle or the journey, because if you are not releasing the things that you need to release, if you're continuing to hold on to things that no longer serve you, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever, you're not going to have the room to bring in new things. You're wanting to call in new things, plant seeds, you know, set those intentions to call in new things, but then you're still holding on to all this baggage that is now blocking the way or blocking room for you to receive those new things. So that's why the releasing phase of this particular cycle is so important, okay? This is a very important part of the moon cycle, all right? So again, we can't call in more abundance if we are weighed down with other things, because there simply will be no room. So this could be in the form of habits, thoughts, people, and this is a great time to start to cut yourself free from any burdens or obligations or anything heavy that you may feel, okay, that you have like weighing you down. Now, while you release, like I said, it is important to do it with forgiveness, because if you don't do it with forgiveness, not only, like I said, for yourself, but for others, you don't ever really fully release it. So you don't ever really fully let it go if it's not done with forgiveness. And that's why forgiveness is an important piece in this whole step, okay? So this is a great time, like I said, to do your fire burning rituals, okay? Burn things, literally writing things down, writing the things that you want to release, meditating on it, and literally watching it burn and wither and letting it go at the same time. So I love this particular phase. This is also a great time for self-care. So all your self-care rituals, loving on yourself, again, that healing, that forgiveness, that, that particular energy is great for self-care. And then also, this is great for cord cutting. So cord cutting rituals in terms of literally, if you have a strong energetic tie between you and someone else, let's say it's an ex-spouse or ex-lover or ex-best friend, and you're ready to like sever those energetic cords, this is a great time to do your cord cutting rituals, to start here. And then you can continue it into the next phase, which is what I'm going to talk about, is our final phase. All right. And this is the 8th phase of the moon cycle, and it's the waning crescent. So you can continue that cord cutting where you're literally just severing those energetic cords that build and tie you to other people. Because the more time you spend with people, the more time you're intimate with someone. And intimacy does not always necessarily mean physical intimacy. It could be emotional intimacy. So that's, like I said, it could be a best friend. It could be, anyone that you have kind of reached that point where you're like, this person's toxic, or whatever the situation may be, and I don't want them a part of my life anymore, to start to sever those cords, because even though they're physically out of your life, those energetic cords are still there and they have to go as well. So the waning crescent is the final phase, and again, like I said, it's a time where you can do that. This last phase lasts about a week, and this is the longest stretch of darkness for us, okay? So this is when we're getting the most darkness, and this the most darkness in terms of the moon energy. So this is what really marks the end of the cycle, the whole entire lunar cycle, okay? So here we continue to release and reflect, but now we also enter the rest and recovery phase, right? So this is when we embrace the darkness to come into balance. This is the best time to do shadow work, which is facing our darker selves or facing our shadow self. This is also a great time for protection, for banishing. A lot of people like to do banishing or binding work during this time, all right? This is also a great time to connect with the spirit world, with the dead, with, anyone on that spirit, on the spiritual side, or the spirit world. Also, this is the time that I like to work with my tarot cards the most, even though I work with them throughout the entire cycle. This is the time where I like to really work with them to get messages or receive messages that I'm, may not receive, or I'm too busy or too kind of all over the place to really take in at any other time. So this is a great way that I like to connect with my own spirit tribe. So this is when I like to pull out my cards and get those messages, like, what messages do you have for me? And just really start to, hit on that. The most important thing I want to also say with this phase is to remember to rest, because during this cycle, because this is when you need to be recuperating or recovering your energy levels so that you can go into the next cycle refreshed and ready to hit it. You don't want to deplete yourself during this time. This is not a time where you should be very active and doing a whole lot of stuff. This is a time where you should just really be chilling and receiving and being in a very receptive space and just that type of thing, okay? So don't be trying to be active and doing too much during the cycle, because that's not what this cycle calls for, okay? Time to be still. It's time to be still and receive those messages. Let's talk about some of the tools that you can use during this cycle to help you. The first will be your herbs. So these herbs are great for relaxing you, helping you slow down, also to facilitate healing, for protection and releasing and receiving messages, okay? So the first, herb I'm gonna recommend is rosemary. The next is lavender, rose, clary sage, and chamomile, okay? The crystals that you can work with during this time, and again, these herbs and crystals and everything that I'm going to mention, this is like can be used during no matter what is happening, you know, transit wise or anything. These are things that you can use during any waning phase of the, you know, the moon for any particular month or any time of the year. Okay, so the crystals that I would recommend are black tourmaline. Actually, a lot of your black variety stones are going to be good here. So black tourmaline, black obsidian, amethyst, also rose quartz for, you know, the healing, especially in terms of like heart issues and all of that good type of stuff. Moldavite, which is great for helping you face your shadow side, and, you know, moonstone. We're always going to recommend moonstone because moonstone can be used throughout all the phases of the moon. The candles or the magic that you know, can use during this time, or the colors that you would use during this time to help you with your particular rituals or things that I mentioned previously, are your black candles for protection, banishing, and all that good stuff. Purple for your spiritual wisdom and divination and connecting to that side. Your blue candles for healing, peace, and all that good stuff. And then silver and gray, which is great with peace, truth, and also with cleansing and getting ready for the new cycle. Okay, so those are the candle colors that I would recommend working with if you're doing or tapping into your candle magic or anything like that. Again, I have an entire video on the candle colors, what they mean, what they're great for, so I'll also link that down the description box below. I know I've been mentioning it in every video, but sometimes people just hop on and this is their first video, and so I have to still mention it, okay? So that is all, and that wraps up our entire working with the moon cycle series. Please let me know how you have liked this. If you did like this entire series, please give a thumbs up. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for, you know, tuning in, and I have more to come, so stay tuned. Have a good one. Peace.